Go live, go.
I think we're live now, or at least close to. We're getting.
Getting close to being live.
I think it's launching.
Live.
Are we
Yep.
not live yet?
Mhm.
Okay, we're live.
Yep. We can see your screen.
You
Can
can
see
see my
your
screen. Okay.
yes, can see your presentation and the
Okay.
Zoom.
Well, if people are watching this, whether it's now or later, we would really
Mhm.
love to know where you're from, what department you want to work in, what is your dream job, and what are you hoping to learn? Like, let's start there. These are things that we're really curious about. People who are still, I want to say, fighting to be in animation, because at this point, I feel like people are starting to fight to stay in this industry. So, we'd love to know these
That's
little
there.
things about you. Feel free. Um, let's see. And then let's go through our slides. I guess people are going to be wondering who we are, what brings us
What
here, what are
what brings us here?
what makes us experts in anything. Sonia, do you want to go first?
Oh yeah, sure. Oof. Um, hold on. Okay, why are we here and what are we doing here? Ooh,
I
let's
just threw that
go.
at
Let's
you.
go. Let's go. Let's go. All right. Well, I've been in storyboards since 2013, various positions from revisions to storyboarding to supervising, and then my latest project I directed a 2D short film. It's called Ostinato. It's right there, and it's on Netflix. And that was in a production by Ace Society, Ace Canada Society, if anybody's heard of them. And so, yeah, I've been in storyboards on 2D, 3D shows, preschool, adult, movie specials. My latest uh, studio I've worked at was at House of Cool, and then I also worked on an adult show for Big Jump. And I spend a lot of my time mentoring and teaching throughout the years. I used to teach figure drawing when I was just in college, and then later through my career, I used to mentor my team, of course, of junior board artists and intermediates, and always mentoring on the side. As I really truly believe that you can never stop learning, and also it helps me also grow as a professional. The more I share, the more I know how much I know and what I don't know actually, and where I need to improve as well. So mentoring is actually a really rewarding thing, and teaching, of course. And that's about me. Now over to you.
My name is Lindsay Noller, and I'm a 2D production trainer. And obviously, I met you while working on Ostineto with the ACE program, which I've been a part of for a couple of years now. I think they just wrapped their fourth film and are starting to dip into their fifth, which is really exciting. That's quite a program that I have come to admire. What they're doing for people is really fantastic, opening the door and all the pathways for women and underrepresented people to have those opportunities. So that one was fantastic to work on. I come from the animation industry from 2D. Um, I know. I gotta interrupt us for 1 second. Are we live?
Yeah, we're live.
Oh, you see us? I can't see
Yeah,
us
I
now.
see it.
Okay, I can't see it. So
I mean, I see it. You're good. You're good.
okay.
I refreshed. I refreshed. It's still there.
Okay, it's
It's
not showing
still
up on
there.
mine. So I just wanted to have a quick panic before I got too far into this in case we needed to restart. But if you see it, then I trust. Yes, so I'm a 2D rigging expert from the animation industry in Vancouver, Canada. I've had to move across the country several times to find work. Um, and I think that is something that kind of comes with the territory. There's a couple of big cities in the country that you have to kind of work in. So I like to throw that in there because if you feel like it's not around you, it might not be. so, um, but yeah,
Hmm.
I've worked in studios at Atomic Cartoons. I've worked at Wild Brain. I've worked at Titmouse. I mainframe, Wildbrain that used to be DHX Media and Bardell. And I also worked for Toon Boom directly, and it was at Toon Boom where I started to travel around the world and train studios, which gave me a lot of my confidence for 2D production training, and also maybe laid the groundwork for what is Eat Your Peas. And Eat Your Peas is really a giant training network of artists across Canada who are really bringing you the best and most up to date skills to work in the animation industry. Creating a coaching environment is probably our number one priority to help people either break into the animation industry or start their own studio, but maybe skip the hardest parts and give ourselves or tap into our experience, if you will. So I'm really excited about what it is that we're building. And really quickly, I can jump into a couple of slides to talk a little bit more about the coaching collective. This is an older slide. I can see that it's got Animation Mentorship Collective still on it. But we've been running classes for the past couple of years, and we've got almost 100 professional artists in our network, which is incredible. Everybody here uses their talent and professionalism to teach things that you could really only learn in a studio environment. And that's kind of been our goal. We tackle subjects that are teamwork driven for storyboards, and obviously Sonia can talk a little bit more about this, but taking scripts from or stories from scripts and bringing them into storyboards, which would be your department, and then breaking that down into rigging and like how do you create the technical pieces and the tools that the artists use to bring a show to life. Working in animation is a process of many hands. As much as we like to think that we can do it all ourselves, it's just easier when you don't. Well, all right. So we started a program, which is what we're here to talk about, called Peak Performance. I can make it a little bit bigger. I always really like to see all the slides at the bottom. That's why I don't go full screen
Okay.
often, but or
It's okay. We can go like this. It is maybe if you can just zoom in on it.
no, it's okay.
The zoom in at the bottom,
I got a
69%.
button. I got a button.
Are you going to the
Sorry.
button you want?
We
Sure,
got a couple
sure,
more
sure.
slides. We're almost done.
Lovely, lovely, beautiful.
All right. This project is based off of Peak Performance. So Peak Performance is a project that we created, and it is a training pipeline, a practice pipeline for you to train on a whole bunch of departments. Well, let me go to the next slide. But it's based off of a pilot program that we did last year called Learn Your ABPs. It was sponsored by Toon Boom. We are an ATC, so we're in the process of doing all that paperwork right now. We're an authorized training center for Toon Boom, which is really exciting because there's only 20 in the world and only a few in Canada. And so hopefully that we can advise what's the word, we can advertise that soon. But Peak Performance in the practice pipeline, we have 8 specialized training departments where you can learn how to work in an animation studio or start your own, at least 1/8 of your part. Hey Mabes. And yeah, we've got production coordinating, storyboarding, backgrounds, art design, character and prop design, 2D cutout rigging, 2D cutout animation, effects, and compositing, which is essentially an entire pipeline. And we're here to talk to you about that today. Sonia, next steps?
Sure. No, it sounds all good. I really love seeing all the breakdowns of and the information. I mean, it's really helpful. I would love it if people would put in their questions, and if there's none, we can just cover pretty, common questions and common, I guess, concerns that people who want to take this program might have. And so this is really awesome. We can really talk about I mean, each department, we have the descriptions on the website. So if you go on the website, you'll find each of these departments having the kind of the most important points of what you will gain out of each department. And of course, it's a 3 month program, and so it's a pretty intensive program. And I guess the easiest or the most obvious question would be, for you to take this program, do you have to have any training or do you need to know any fundamentals be Toon Boom program or any animation fundamentals or production fundamentals before you take the program, or what would you say to that?
Our depart our our sorry, Mabel's Mabel. Um,
Label.
Mabel.
Label.
So I just want to make sure our audio is okay. If you, I know you can hear Mabel. If you're having
Everyone
issues
can
hearing, I'm
label.
gonna crank the audio over there. Somebody is still having a hard time hearing me, Mabel. You gotta chill.
Really, it is there, but really quiet, huh? Hmm.
Everybody's trying to get a hold of me. Right now, Mabel, you're fine.
I will assume that you don't need training to take the program, but you do need some fundamentals, some knowledge to keep up with the work. Is that fair to say?
Yes. Mabel, can you lay down,
Oh, I
please?
love your shirt. I was gonna wear the same shirt, but mine is dirty.
Well, we've got somebody. It's mainly me that's quiet. If I yell into my mic, does that help? Have cranked. I have cranked I have cranked the audio. That Mabel, you've gotta lay down. Absolutely not. This is relax, please. Lay down. Lay down all the way. Thank you. Good girl. Thank you. Let me just treat her because holy smokes.
Yeah, she knows that he's
This
distracting.
is
She's
her
just
number one, and I'll be honest, it's getting worse. It's which is not good. Which is not
nope.
good.
But while Maple is getting her treats,
Okay.
um, I will say that this program is intense and it is full time. Um, if you want to try it part time, that's on you. That's your own challenge.
Yeah,
But
we're working towards our part-time class.
yeah,
We we're work students students that understand how the program works will be allowed to come back and do a part-time stint, but we have to go through the full-time program before you can unlock the the part-time. Um, which will be really nice once we have that up and running. But yeah, our
yep,
program is designed for graduates, and you nailed it because it's not. We don't teach the fundamentals. You go to school to work on your fundamentals and to learn all of those ground. I don't want to say ground layers, but the ground knowledge. Like you really need to know those, and then we take that and we shape them into what you would use them in a professional environment. Because you might not take the arcs or your tail wags as literal or squash and stretch as literally as you do in school, but you're constantly using them. You're just learning how to use them in the next evolved way.
that's awesome. And just before we move on, any of you awesome people that are here, and hello, hello. If you have any questions, pop them in the chat, and we're
Yes.
gonna cover them. Otherwise, we're just gonna go cover all the questions that we already have. But if you don't have questions, that's okay. You just have to know that we do have a Black Friday slash Cyber Monday sale,
Mm-hmm.
and it is $500 off right now, and the code is 500 P's, PEAS, and that's what you put in the coupon thing. And I'm gonna pop the links in. I'm going to pop in the links, and I'm gonna think on how I'm gonna do that. Well, in the chat, I can pop in some links in there. Where you want to go if you want to enroll. There's an enrollment link, and there's an actual where you purchase the program link, which I'll pop in a second. So
Mm-hmm.
back to our questions, actually, since we're talking about prices. What's included in the actual tuition? So what's included?
Great question. Daily one-on-one feedback and contact from your supervisor, depending on which, well, not depending on which department that you enter, but you'll enter a department. Each department will have its own supervisor. You'll have access to an entire team of professionals, of pipeline professionals. So you'll have access to everybody. We are breaking it down as you'll learn the actual habits of professionals. So, how do you manage your time? How do you learn how to work hard versus when can you kind of take your foot off the gas and kind of slow down, pace yourself a little bit as a professional? It's a very important skill. Um, and you'll also get a license, a software license. So, you'll be enrolled in Toon Boom's producer, which is their asset management software. And you'll also get a annual subscription to one of the programs. So if you enter any of our, if you art and design pathways, you'll get an Adobe Photoshop license for 1 year. Storyboarding gets a Storyboard Pro license for 1 year, and the cutout departments, which are rigging, animation effects, and compositing, get a 1 year license to Toon Boom's Harmony, which is a fabulous deal because we're actually able to bring these licenses to students who would usually have to pay professional licensing fees once you graduate. That's the one thing that you lose is access to the software. So we're able to extend access to the software for students, which I'm really, really excited about.
And that's awesome. That's not gonna really work with the no, the links don't work like that in the chat. Got to figure out something else because I don't know how to do this in the chat without the links not working. Um,
Oh,
well
okay. So we
then,
got Ayla in the chat.
yes,
Big
we got
Bill
alien
is
chat.
here, and Sanic, the Bagel Nice to see you, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, I just failed with my links, but have to figure that out. It's on the website though. The enrollment is on the website, right? And then I think if you pop in, no, if you pop in the links, I don't know if that'll work for you. Because for
I
me,
can't
it's not
pop it
really.
into my. I tried to. Well, I could. Well, I mean, there's. I better not. My computer can't handle
We're
it.
just not gonna touch anything. We're just gonna figure this out later. Just give us
It's
a sec.
eatyourpeas.ca. If you go to eatyourpeas.ca, that will
That's it.
be. I could do it if I go on my phone, but
It's all cool. It's all cool. Also the Discord group. I don't know if
oh yeah.
all of you are here are part of the Discord group. Please join the Discord group because all the updates happen in there. And I believe to find the Discord group, it's easy. I think
Uh,
it's on the website at the
yes, it's
bottom.
on.
Yes, it is.
Yes, there is a link to our Discord through our website, through our Instagram channel, through LinkedIn. I've dropped that link everywhere. You can find it.
Awesome.
Um,
Keep dropping
the
it.
the process of creating all of this material, I find, has been really interesting because I think we've gone through these ebbs and flows of connecting with our audience. And so our
Mhm.
goal for 2026 is to reconnect with the community and build that connection again, which I'm really, really excited about. So to keep the momentum of these talks going and to bring more knowledge out there, put more knowledge out there on how to make cartoons. Yeah.
Which is awesome. I think it's the part where we learn from each other and together it's kind of gotten lost since we've gone remote and
Mm-hmm.
what then used to be a everyday part of our just work environment has now kind of disappeared, and so it's more important now than ever to have something like this to really set us up for success and give us those skills before we jump before we jump into a full-time production when essentially the ramp up time is really not as generous anymore as it used to be, considering you're kind of on your own remotely and there's only so many Zoom calls you can do, and you got to really pick up the pace and be up and running, or as you said, catching a train or something. Train
Yeah.
going by, you catch it.
Well, it's getting your first job is different now than it was. When did we start the industry?
So,
we're both under
so
15
old.
years, but between 10 and 15. So
Yeah.
enough that we've stopped counting. Um, and I'm finding it. I mean, I think everybody's finding right now to be more challenging than ever to get an actual job in the animation industry, especially one with benefits, which I think is the goal for everybody. body, and how do
Mhm.
you do that? And I would think that getting your first job now feels a lot like grabbing a speeding train. Like
Yeah,
you
that's it.
you want to grab it, but it's moving so fast, and you don't really want to hurt yourself um, reaching out. Uh, in which case you can, but it's still possible. So we're trying to give everybody that leg up to make that connection and also gain the skills that they're already looking for. Because I think that's the hardest part is the industry's a little bit smaller now, so they're able to work with people that already have the skills, already know what it is that they're doing. They don't need as much direction. But that being said, junior artists are still in demand. I think that there's still a lot of space for them, and the ones that have the knowledge, I think, are going to have an easier time in the interview process. And so that's the program that we've developed is really designed to connect students and our students with those skills so they can bring them to their interview process.
Yeah, sweet. And Isla, I'd love to know like
Ayla,
what Ayla, I'm sorry.
yeah.
I would love to know what department you're in since you mentioned the ramp up time was shorter before remote. I do agree, just we had a bit more like you could ask a little more help much quicker when you're in the studios. It was a little more organic and less kind of like, let's schedule a Zoom call, or if you message somebody, you're like, they're not there, you're like, don't.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, back to the program. What I
Well,
wanted
I
to
think
ask you essentially.
I was gonna
Yeah?
say we took it for granted being in the
Yeah.
office. Yeah, we definitely took it for
Yeah.
granted, and so yeah, like we could keep talking about it. This program is designed to bring the office to an online environment.
Yeah, because boy was it sweet.
Yes.
Not the commute part though, don't miss that. But always nice to have a balance. So for this tuition, you get a full year license, not
Mm-hmm.
4 year, full year. And then after you're done your 3 months, there's something where you still stay in the community, right? And then you get kind of like a review after some time passes by. You kind of
Yeah.
get a bit
Yeah.
of review, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, tell us about that. What
Well, we
that is.
are we're the first industry standard animation production training. So the way that we did that was when we designed the 8 departments for the places where you can train, the specialized training. We took all those departments and we broke down all the skills that are actually necessary and required to work in that department. And so basically, when you come to our school, we give you that list. We help you practice everything that's on it. And at the end of the program, you'll have gone through everything and you'll be able to test your skills. You'll be verified at that point, but you might not be at the point where you're hitting artist quota. So, quota is really important in animation because that's how studios measure how much work can be done. And the more quota you can do, which might be the more footage or more backgrounds or more assets that you're building, that really puts you in the race for professional speeds. And when you're younger, that's when you're the fastest. So the thing is, you want these skills earlier in your career than later in your career. And again, like this will be really exciting to see what happens when younger artists in their 20s, have access to 15 level or 15 years of experience and can start to um, move as fast as we could towards our middle careers, if that makes sense. And
Oh
so at
yeah.
the 12-year mark, you're able to test yourself again and kind of compare yourself and see where you're at. And that's going to give you a very accurate depiction of how fast you're moving as a professional. And so that's our certification program. Um, and so you'll be certified at the end of the 3 months, but you can also start testing your quota, and we'll show you how to do that so you can come back and do it at 12 or at 24 months later, so you can kind of see how you're progressing, which will give artists a lot of confidence. I think these are things that we've never really done before, and they're I think we all, if we've worked in the animation industry now, we all see it as a huge benefit to track yourself and to learn these things. But if you're not doing it properly, it can come across as a little scary.
Yes, and as mentioned, the point of this program is to deliver industry standard portfolios, right? So
Mm-hmm.
essentially, I know there's been something that was already created, and you have a sample of like a preview of what the quality looks like. We can wait a bit longer. You can kind of, if you want, we can play it now and then play it again maybe in a bit as people drop in. But essentially, I think what's important is when you join a program, a training program, that what you're doing is relevant to what the quality and the industry standard, like you said, is and what the demand is. So, do you want to play it now, or do you want to
I
get
can.
back
I
to
have
it
it
later?
ready. Yeah, give me
Okay,
1 second. Let me pop it up.
we're gonna see what the last uh, batch of students worked on essentially and are wrapping up on.
Yeah, and this is
Um,
a program that we started last year, and it's not totally finished. It's actually still going through our effects department right now, but you will see.
Loading.
I'll explain it after.
Yeah,
If Sanik is here, she partook in their program, and that was her scene with the trumpet. Okay, so I'll
cool,
play it
cool,
one more
cool,
time, but I'll put it on. I'll put it in a small window so we can talk about it. Um,
cool, cool.
yeah, no, this is a really exciting program because what we did was we wanted to test. I mean, what kind of pressure can we put students through first? So this is the tiniest little short that we could come up with to think of kind of like an assignment, and then turn an assignment into an actual functioning cartoon to train off of. So all of this is student generated. What we did was, as the mentors, we broke down this tiny little short, which was the P takes a peek in the curtains, closes the curtains, curtains open up, um, and then we invited students to tell us what the P was proud of. What is the P doing on stage? What's the talent? What's the point? What's the story? So the students actually took those ideas and turned them into each one of these scenes, and then collectively they kept working on these scenes, and I was bringing in professionals to give them reviews, to try to take it to that next level. And because it's a volunteer program, we didn't push the students too hard, but we loved the process, and the students loved working on this program. And so we continued to design it. I think the scene ends, which was the mentors. We shut the curtains, and then the P nervously takes a bow. That's this part right here. I think is where the mentors took over, um, and everything in between was student driven. Uh, but yeah, we had so much fun, and the students that worked on this program had so much fun. We basically took it and we created a whole episode around it. So actually, our first episode is basically the log line is essentially the peas try to outdo each other in a series of outlandish talents. And I won't give away the ending of that episode, but we want to show the students how easy it is to reuse their work and continue to build upon the skills that they already have, and to to build on the episode that we've already started.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and essentially in this coming up three different streams, you have more scripts, more choices for story points, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody wants to sign up and do boards, they're going to have a few choices there, and they can do multiple iterations
Yes.
and multiple kind of uh, takes. So they can have a go at multiple stories, and they can just keep working and fleshing them out, of course.
Yeah.
And as they're doing that, right, they're building the stories. They're actually like the sequence that they chose to move forward to in production of this course. That will go to the next stage and the next stage, as it would in a
Mm-hmm.
real production.
Mm-hmm.
And by the end, there's actually going to be a product, right? There's going to be a finished, sequence of that everybody worked on,
Yes,
right?
100%. So we've got,
Great.
and you nailed it. The project revolves around having multiple episodes because working on series is very different from working on a short. Whereas when you work on a short, the workflow kind of ends when it ends when you complete your short. But when you're working on a series, you're actually working on multiple episodes at a time. And you're learning how to juggle assets in new professional ways, let's say. Um, and so we've got the one episode, which I just described. We have another episode that we've catered more towards our effects and compositing lines so that they have something where they're having a lot of fun and they're being challenged in ways that would be relative to an animation studio. And then we have a third episode, and it's very similar to the first episode, but not quite. And so the plan is that the students will be working on the first two episodes throughout the 3 months that they're in our program. And then
Yep.
they have the option when they graduate, they can continue to work on the series with us. Or they can start their own project if they are on the path to start their own program. They can use their licenses for that as well.
Okay, fantastic. So I guess no questions in the chat. Thank you guys for sticking through this. I hope you're having fun. We're gonna keep nailing some more questions down. So we talked about the access, the fact that you have an instructor that's available to you full time, just like, oh, a supervisor really,
Mm-hmm.
just like in a real production. So it's not something you can, if you need somebody, and people will also work with you and ask you for things, right? Your coordinator is going to check in on you, which is the other department.
Yeah.
So everyone's actually taking on a role and getting things done in real time.
Yeah.
And oh yeah, so
We've taken out the pressure of working on an actual project so that it's more of a learning environment, learning opportunity, minus all the high pressure of working in a studio and having to actually adapt to the client notes. We're gonna show you what that is, but you can't fail here. You can't get
uh,
fired anyway.
I Hmm. How do you feel like this program sets you apart from other similar ones that are popping up? Really cool, because I was just going to get to that question. How is this different from, well, you know what? Let's just talk about this. Who are the other programs? Do we know? The only programs I know that are similar to something of this nature are college programs.
Mm-hmm.
If you're talking about different type of courses, then it's usually department oriented, where it's just like that one course you're going to take, and it's usually work at your own pace. This is just me, my personal experience with courses. You work at your own pace. You really, if somebody reviews your stuff, it's going to be like maybe once a week. It's going to be a group situation. One on one is very rare in any program that's independent from
Mm-hmm.
an actual college. And even in a college, like where, I went to Sheridan, and I have friends who've gone to Seneca. We're in the GTA Toronto area. And so even then, you're not focusing too much on one thing. You're focusing on just kind of surviving. And if you have some time for questions, great. Um, I don't know any other programs where you have a production setup. It's remote, and you have a
Mm-hmm.
full-time instructor. I myself was like, Lindsay, why are you giving this to people? Give them like an instructor maybe twice a week, like a college. And actually, You have a really good point. Like people, treating this like a full-time production is going to really train somebody to understand the pace of
Yeah.
making something. But I'll
Hmm.
let you take this on. How about you take this on? Program director, you know more about this than I do. Tell us, what do you think?
Well, you have to look at the outcome of what you want. I think that's really important. To if you wanted, let's say you wanted to start your own studio, or you wanted to work in a studio, like it all comes down to, we used to go to work, and I'm not gonna say I worked 9 to 5. It was more like 9 to 2 a.m. some nights. Um, but we don't want that for people. It's evolved so much in this time frame. But when we would go to the office, we would regulate with our peers. I know that when I got my first job and I had to sit in front of a computer for the first time, for a full 9 hour day shift doing the same thing, that was a struggle for me. But the fact that everybody was doing that around me made it a lot easier. And I think the work from home environment has really taken that away from people. And so there's a mismatch of, um, what do I need to do to fulfill the, again, it's quota. If you can't hit a professional quota, you're going to struggle finding work. And that's probably the number one thing that studios are looking for. Will be able to rely on this person to get the work that we assign them done? And so our course is intense. Our course is an intensive course because what we're doing is we're training people to sit at the computer and specialize in these skills all day. When you go to schools, when you're working on other programs, you're learning the program, but you're not learning the program in the way that your department helps another department, or a department relies on your work. And so a lot of professional courses are designed as standalone programs. They don't necessarily teach the context of which a cartoon is actually made. And I think that that's the only way that you're going to get that is if you're actually making a cartoon. So we might as well make a cartoon on training wheels. Our first show, your first show, you can put that on your resume. But we'll show you what it looks like to produce work for as close to 40 hours as possible, while teaching students to pace themselves so that they're actually avoiding burnout in the future. Um, like I said, our program is different because it's the only production pipeline animation training program out there. So you really learn your piece of the puzzle, but also the important parts of all the other departments, which then you can get into, I don't want to say cross training, but cross departmental knowledge. And I think that that's very valuable in an animation studio, to understand the needs of other departments to make sure that you're doing the best job that you can. And I think that's where we stand out.
That's it's true. I would even add to that that if I wanted to experience each different department,
Mm-hmm.
I would say that even price wise, this program is a steal compared to what's out there. Because it's also the time. Time is so valuable. If you're able to learn so much in 3 months, where you have a demo that is industry standard and it's actually part of this, like essentially short, that it's actually finished, and everybody who was part of it had a certain standard
Mm-hmm.
already, professional like work standard as well. Like they brought certain like skills, so it's going to look much better on your resume, versus just like a course, like a standalone course, like you said. And yeah, like if I wanted to do other departments, I would finish this department and I would do different departments, like three more months. So you can do in 6 months, you can do like two different portfolio samples that will be completely up to industry standard. I mean, I'm a professional and it takes me some time to whip up portfolios every time I have to do that. It takes time.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I'm on my own, right? So it's, I mean, you have the fact that you get real professionals who are from the industry is another piece that I think is really different. I I went to Sheridan. Sheridan's wonderful. But I don't know. I didn't know who I was going to get as a teacher, right? As an instructor.
Hmm.
And here you actually have a lot of information about your instructors, and you would know who would be working with you, and that's kind of a really important piece,
Yeah,
I would say.
all of our instructors have already worked together, so we actually we have that cross departmental knowledge naturally, of that experience of working together, and so our pipeline. We're planning on keeping our pipeline and growing our technology. Like we are connected to some of the biggest studios in Canada, and we're kind of pulling our favorite bits and creating. I don't want to say we're creating a super platform or a super pipeline, but we might be. We might actually be, which is kind of exciting. And we're going to be giving that to our students so that they can, if they're going to start their own studios, they don't have to. They don't have to invest in that technology. Like that is such a crazy. Studios have invested tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in the technology to house these softwares and to make their own productions where we don't have to repeat those processes for the new studios that are coming up.
Yeah. And then the comments, yeah.
I feel like we are. Well, I hope so.
And I appreciate the question. It's a really good question. It's a fair question, I think. So, yeah. Well, then when is the next class? When does the next one start? When is
January
January?
2026. January 2026. The deadline's actually coming up. There's 1 week left to apply to enroll. December 7th is the deadline for our very first cohort, which would start in January 13th. We have another cohort starting in May. We have another cohort starting in September, and then we have a secret cohort which we're going to run around the summer. But we are not announcing the dates of that one yet. We're still kind of gaining interest. If those dates don't work for people, please send us a message, and you can email me at accounts@eatyourpeas.ca. Um, you can let us know what dates would work for you in the summer, and we'll factor that into when we actually house that. Because there's a couple schools that are graduating at a later date, so we're starting to work directly with schools for their graduates and take them and just have this little extra boot camp to send them on their way before they go into their careers and their chosen pathways, with a little bit of extra information to help them get their leg over that wall.
Okay. I'm just looking over the other questions. I remember we talked a little bit about um, if a student enrolls and if they want to change their mind. Maybe, it happens when
Mm-hmm.
people, yeah. So if somebody chose animation and then they realize it's not their thing and they want to do storyboarding, how would that work out?
That's a good point. This is a tough one because our program is very compact, very short. It's very possible that a student might not be happy with what they've chosen. I think what we'll have to do is talk to that student in that case and see where they are. If they're early enough in the program, they know they want to switch right away. Because I do think that the way that our program is designed, students will have that exposure early on
Mm-hmm.
in the program. So if a student is really not happy with where they're at and what they're learning and want
Mm-hmm.
to jump ship, we can probably make that happen. Worst case scenario is that we've gone too far and it would be really difficult for that student to jump over to a new department and basically go and learn a second department in a shortened amount of time. At that point, it's harder to um, certify people's skills. But we will go case by case basis and like see what we can do because obviously these things happen.
Yeah, sure.
But
I mean,
it's a tight course, so I hope that people are really thinking about what department they want to focus on. And this is the thing. This is how you learn. Jumping around from different departments, it actually hurts. I would say it hurts students. So I hope that they really think about what what they want to take on and what they want to specialize in.
Okay. And so just touching on the instructors. Um, I think we talked about that a little bit. That I mean, everyone's a professional, but like, what do you expect from your instructors? What is their approach in this program?
Hmm.
Um, what is the week to week setup with the instructors, and what does it look like?
Yeah, well, we give a lot of flexibility to the instructors, so every department will run a little bit differently. Um, and But there's also a lot of flexibility in that with for the students. So we do some pre-recorded videos. We do a lot of live one-time videos, and we might have a lot of live recorded videos that you can kind of go back to. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and the reason why we do that is to keep it as close to working as a studio environment as possible. Um, I'm trying to think of like how to answer that question. What was the what was it? Was the week
And
uh,
week to week, yeah.
week to week? Yeah. So I think that what we want to do is have over a week to week, we want to build in a schedule of connection points. So on a, and like you were a big part of talking about how we were designing these little connection points of daily warm up drawing
Mm-hmm.
period where but we open that up to the entire school, not just our storyboarding
Mm-hmm.
department, so you get to contact and talk to people, and do little drawings every day. We have stretch breaks, so we take our artist health and wellness really seriously because after sitting at a desk for so long, you'll start to see it in your body. You're not going to feel these things when you're 20, but you're going to feel them after 10 years of work. And so you just want to be in the habit before these things creep up on you. You want to prevent a lot of these things. Um, and What else?
Yeah, you don't want to get screwed, right? So
You don't want to what?
you don't want to get screwed. You don't want to get screwed. You don't want to
Screwed?
be in pain when
Okay,
you're
you don't want to be in pain.
screwed.
No, I've
You
got
don't
my
want to be in
arms actually.
pain.
I've got my arm
I
where a lot of
actually,
things down and I can't use them because it hurts my
I,
back.
I actually have a really good story. The first job I had, I went like I was doing 10-hour days because that was like 10 to 11-hour days because it's just I needed to be up and running.
Yeah,
And
we
I
need to be on.
remember,
That's how we learned. Yeah,
yeah, and I remember I literally started to get carpal tunnel. I was 23.
yeah.
But because I just went so quick and so intense because I really wanted to just do so well, because it was my first job. I just remember my wrists were burning. I switched hands. Like, I'm right-handed. I was doing reps left-handed to give it a rest because I had a friend and she had carpal tunnel and she told me all about it, and I'm like, oh my god, this is it. So you can't keep going. If any of you ever heard of anything with carpal tunnel, if you keep going, you're gonna make some serious damage, and then you're gonna be out for like a few months
Well,
if
there's a
you
lot of.
push
I
it too
mean,
far.
we're not here
Yeah.
to scare. We're not here to scare students,
No,
but
no, no, but that's
we
my
want to
story.
teach
That
them.
like switch
Yeah,
your hand,
yeah,
right? But the point is, if I had training, if I had actual training that, because
if you had
my
John.
school, I
John
guess.
John is our storyboarding, drawing. I don't
Oh
want
my
to say
God.
occupational. He's not an occupational therapist, but he's got 20 years of experience, and he can look at somebody's drawing position in their body and correct it. You know, if you've got you're gonna have you don't just have carpal tunnel. You're gonna have shoulder pain. You're gonna have neck pain. How you have your Cintiq,
Oh
how you
yeah,
sit in a
yeah,
chair.
yes. What chair you sit on?
I have my Theragun right next to me that I can just like work and put it into my shoulder blades or my neck because that's kind of where I need it. But
Yeah,
these things can
like
be
yeah,
corrected and nudged. If
yes.
you were all working in the industry in the studios, you would have these naturally because somebody would say, "Hey, are you in pain?" Because you look like you might be in pain.
Really bad commercial for medicine. Are you in pain? And they're like, try this. No.
Yep.
Yeah, no. I have like my whole like environment is like a transformer. I have a stand up desk and I have a kneeling chair and I have a regular chair and I have a mat anyway, the whole thing and special mice and stuff. Anyway, but is it Ayla, right?
Mm-hmm.
Am I saying it right?
Ayla
Yeah.
is one of our
Ayla, that
creation
sounds
mentors.
so
Yes.
intense. Yeah, like
And I
wow,
think
the bump.
first thing that every artist notices about themselves is like they're gonna develop a callus over their finger where they're drawing.
Yeah.
And I haven't been using my mouse as much or my Cintiq pen as much as I used to, but like that that little
Yeah.
bump right there out of school was ginormous. And I think that
So fair.
you see it first there, and then it creeps through the rest of your body. So we actually, yeah, I think that we've been in the animation industry now where we can correct a lot of those things before they even happen, and that's the goal.
Man.
Yeah,
We talked
which is
about the
sweet.
software.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about the software. We don't use anything outside of Toon Boom in terms of like software or like you said, Photoshop.
Photoshop. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
At
then
this time, yeah.
yeah, at this time. And then for compositing, it's still like Adobe, right? After Effects.
No, compositing
No.
is done in Harmony.
Oh,
But we
sorry.
can do we can teach people how to do it in Adobe as well. But people will have to, one software. We can provide one. We can provide one software.
Gotcha.
Maybe we can do additional software requests, but at this time one. But compositing in Harmony is fantastic. It's such a great program, and it's very much underutilized. We've got incredible compositing artists, um, like some of the best in the world. So I'm so excited. Mark 410, not to name drop, but we've got Mark 410. I'm starting to speak with somebody who was the supervisor for Rick and Morty back in the day. So we've just got some of the best talent for these things. And
Mhm.
our compositing and effects team are going to be absolutely wild. I'm very excited about it.
I love compositing. I I don't know. I just they just make everything look so much better. I don't know. Everything just looks like oh okay, and then it goes to composite, and you're like whoa,
Mm-hmm.
so much better. Like yeah,
It's the invisible department. That's the thing. Nobody
yeah,
really sees compositing for compositing needs. Um, yeah, you really have to learn to notice what is compositing. Yeah, but it is literally the director's final say, the final vision of a show.
yeah. Vertical mice. I'm just responding to the chat. Vertical mice. Yeah, yeah, totally. Um, we could just have a whole talk just about ergonomics and like everything else.
We could.
Um, but
We do have massage therapists that are old. Since people are starting to look for new careers, we have Zumba instructors. We have massage therapist who was an animator. He's fantastic. So all these people are giving us stretches to like help the nerves in our neck, and the release pressure in your neck to your shoulder to your drawing
mhm.
arms. It's pretty wild.
Nice. That's really cool. Somebody says, I'm not sure if you addressed this earlier, how long of the duration of these master classes? So yes, I mean, I'll say 3 months, but if you have any more details, I the full time schedule, of course.
Yeah, it's they're 12-week full-time programs. So it's a full-time course. So you want to treat it like you're going back to school at this time. Um, because of the process that we have to get people onboarded, it's not really worth it to do it as a part-time position. But once you go through it as a full-time, you can always come back to us as part-time, and until it gets a little bit bigger and we can support part time. But that's a bit of a more of a challenge for us. Plus, as a part time student, you'd probably have to be with us for 6 year or 6 months, which you're starting to dip your toes into a program that's kind of long. This might be something that you just want to do and get over with, and so you can get on to the next phase of your life. Get back to working. Um, I think the thing that we're excited about the most is like teaching people how to put their work online in a consistent fashion so they can start to play with the algorithm. They can start to play with their fans, their audience, so they can learn how to crowdfund, so they can start
Yeah.
their own with they're starting their own studios. These are the things that you have to start to really understand, and the only way to do that is to actually do the work. You can't think your way
Mhm.
into crowdfunding.
And I'll just clarify just in case the part where there's do they have different semesters. So
Mm-hmm.
just to clarify, it is 35 to 40 hours per week for 12 weeks of the department of your choosing.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to want to do a storyboarding portfolio or professional demo, and you want to be part of the pipeline, which is what you would do in the studio, you enroll and you get plugged into the storyboarding department as if you went and got a boarding job, but you are mentored versus like at a job where you have to just perform, perform, perform.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then you still fulfill quota, you still get a quota that is reasonable and is more closer to reality because it's a short program. So within the short program, the speed of what you'll be doing will be fairly consistent with the speed at which you'd have to learn to work at. So you would commit to a department for those 3 months, for those
Mm-hmm.
12 weeks, just in case that wasn't clear.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And we have four different semester dates, I guess you'd call them, which I can repeat again. It's January is our first one, January, May is our second one, and then September is our third one. And then we have a secret fourth one that we're hoping to run in the summer. So we just haven't chosen those dates yet. But
mhm.
if there's, hmm?
Oh, I was just gonna go like I'm just gonna name the departments just in case
Mm-hmm.
people aren't familiar with them. But I would personally love the fact that there's a coordinator pathway because no one gives coordinator training. Like it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
You just kind of like I don't even know that like there's so many ways people get into coordination, but most of the time they go to school for something related to like television production, something close to that, and then they kind of make their way into animation or other ways. But yeah, there's the coordinator pathway, right? You have the storyboard pathway, the art and design, which is essentially your character design and your backgrounds, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Do your layouts and your background painting in that department, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. And then rigging, technology, and asset pathway. So that's actually a really big and very important department. That again, you I don't know where you would get such training, but rigging again, like you know all about that. You can talk to that more than I can. And assets assets is a really important word in production animation. Like
Mm-hmm.
in animation production, understanding where you find stuff in an organized manner, how you upload things in an organized manner, so your team can rely and find the
Find
things
it.
you make. Yeah.
There's
Uh,
nothing, I would say there's nothing more demotivating is working on something that doesn't get used in production. Um,
yeah.
and so sometimes things are just named in a way that other people can't find them. And it's not that they didn't get created, it's that they got created and then they got misplaced. And that happens more than you think. And that's such a sad reality to our industry, especially. I know I've worked on some assets before. And in case you don't know what an asset is just like an item. So a background is an item. You know, there might be 100 backgrounds. Those 100 assets, background
Yeah.
assets.
Yes.
Rigging assets would be the characters or the puppets, the things that actually move in a production. Um, those are
Prop.
like giant puzzles for our department on how we break those down. Um, and then, yeah, I mean, I guess you can say
Props.
animation cycle is an asset as well. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, assets. Animation is asset management, essentially.
Especially when you have a lot of overlap between the departments.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the program is built in such a way that there is overlap. It's not uh, like wait for one department to fully finish their 3 months for the next one to begin. It is a waterfall schedule. So as each department is working, there's still stuff being passed on and trickled to the next department, like in a section as you keep working. And that is the pacing that is most important to understand in a production. And how your work affects the next department. And if something isn't working, you're going to learn that and you're going to know. which is something sometimes you don't have time to know in a production because there's no time. Essentially, there'll be three other people fixing something, and you will never know about it.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, you will, right? You will know about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
Yeah,
whole
these are the
point. And
things that the coordinators track. These are exactly what coordinators track, and that's why it's so important to train coordinators as well, because you're training people on how to track these assets, track them through the process of being created, track them and where they're actually needed in the production. You have to track who's working on it so that, exactly like you said, um, not more than one people are working on it at once, because if you have five people working on the same asset at the same time, then technically you've got four people doing extra work that they shouldn't be doing. And so you've kind of mismanaged, but you've also paid for something four times. And that might not be something that you have to worry about if you're working at a studio. But if you're starting a studio, you do have to worry about that, because little mistakes in animation can end up costing a lot of money that all of a sudden that's your money. So you want to know how to track those things so that you can put your work out there
that's right.
continuously, and pay people properly. Mm-hmm.
That's right. And to comment on the part with the when you don't have a full time availability and you work part time, and that's totally fair. Again, if you really want to take this program, um, I think emailing would be fair to work out the logistics of the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's possible. Um, so at accounts at it's accounts.
Yeah, accounts at eatyourpeas.ca. You can send me an email, Senek, and we are more flexible than you think. So if you, I don't know about managing two different part-time jobs, that might be a lot. But if you were managing a part-time job and coming to school, I think that would be manageable. I think if you had to move 1 or 2 days around, because you also have the weekends. We you can work on a lot of things during the weekend as well, and use that time for yourself. And again, like, that's the nice thing about kind of making it a compact training, is it's more intense for 3 months instead of more intense for 6 months, which is kind of a longer period. We want to do our best to help artists, because we know that we know the realities of the industry right now, and how people are juggling part-time jobs, and not where they want to be. And so again, we're trying to build a program that will help people get to where they want to be quickly, but also realistically. Because if you are set up to fail from the beginning, there's probably nothing worse than that. So we're trying to create an ecosystem to show people how to thrive in this career path.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm just looking at the comment here. Yeah, it is like an assembly line. I mean, I don't, it's not my favorite to call a production assembly line, but it is true. I mean, but there's always artistic variables. And so adaptivity, let's talk a little about adaptivity and how
Yeah,
learn to
adaptable.
adapt.
We
Yes.
want we want adaptable artists. Let me take my sweater off. It's kind of warm. It's getting so
How would
cold.
we, yeah, how would we, how do you feel that students in this program learn to adapt? To what extent and how? And do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Adaptability, I would say, is probably the number one thing that you can say in your job interview to a producer. That's what they want to hear, because animation is 100% problem solving, 100% shifting priorities, um, and it's 100% moving. So to be adaptable in our industry, I think, is a must. So it is very difficult to join a studio and have a preconceived notion and being stuck to that preconceived notion, because one, I can tell you, every studio uses the program differently. So right there, anytime you work at a studio, you have to learn new software, or like new software and new tools to bridge all of the technical details that they've built,
Mm-hmm.
the scaffolding to hold the animation software. And shifting priorities. I think as Ayla says, you sometimes you got 12 episodes on the go.
Yeah.
so so you have to make sure that you are looking at the right priority at the right time, to make sure that whoever needs it first gets it. And that's a skill that you learn with experience. I don't think that that's a skill I can explain very well, or at least any better than I have
I
as an
do.
experience.
Yes.
Can you?
Well, I'm no. What I can say though is, there is a part to which you can adapt through this program, and that is your communication, understanding the
Yeah.
pace of the communication that's required as things change and as you adapt. You still need to um, ask for things that you know you need in
Yeah.
a timely manner.
Yeah.
So yes, it is the coordinator's job to check in and see how they can support you. It is a supervisor's job to support you in a sense of making sure you're on track and communicating to you on a certain consistent basis. It is also up to the artist. It's up to you to know that it's okay and you need to communicate quickly when there's something that is stopping you or you need help with something and you really can't figure it out. And looking bad or feeling stupid is
Yeah.
everyone here.
You're hitting the nail on the head. Like, you're
Yeah.
absolutely hitting the nail on the head. That's the number one problem in an animation studio. Is the fear of being too honest when if you're struggling. Um, no artist wants to appear to look silly and not know what it is that they have to do. But new artists, if they don't know that information, they really don't know that information. And again, working from home, you sit at home thinking, I don't know how long do you think is appropriate to sit at home and consider, um, like, how long should you struggle in silence before you reach out to your supervisor? Everybody has a different opinion on this, but how long would you say is too long, Sonia?
Me personally, in story,
If it was your
if
team,
you in story, if you're struggling and you don't see yourself moving forward, you have to communicate on that the same day.
you same day.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
that's
You need to
huge.
communicate. Yes, because what you got to do is you have to essentially do essentially a check-in with whoever can help you to say, let's say you have a file. Let's say you received a file, and the file is it's not working. Let's say everyone's file is working, but yours isn't, and everyone received the same file.
Mm-hmm.
You're sitting there, you've done everything. You've restarted your computer. You have uh, cleaned up space on the C drive. We all love that one. You updated your drivers. You've done everything, and it's still not working. You asked your teammate, like, give me a copy of yours or whatever. It's not working. What are you gonna do? You gotta handle it like real quick, right? So you need to know who to talk to about that. That could be a coordinator thing because if everybody else's file is working, you then go to your coordinator, not to your supervisor, because it's a
Mm-hmm.
technical problem. So you have to understand who to talk to as well, real quick. If the coordinator can solve it, then they will push it through IT or the tech support. So for me, work on it for an hour at most, then reach out. Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
it's quite immediate, essentially. You,
It's very quick. You don't have
yeah,
much time. You really don't,
no,
depending on, I've talked to some supervisors. I used to say 30 minutes.
yeah,
And
immediate.
there has to be a limit to the struggle, because when you're getting paid to struggle, you want to resolve that as fast as possible. But I've talked to people and they say 5 minutes. They're so, like, their tolerance levels are so low. I have a hard
Mm,
time with 5 minutes because I feel like you won't even know that you're struggling in 5 minutes. But
mm,
yeah, I'd say 30 minutes to an hour. But I like, on the day, like, it should not go
yeah,
into the next day. That's for sure.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think what I'm getting at is you need to know what steps you have to take to troubleshoot it yourself before you just go asking. Because the other thing is what I personally also don't like as a supervisor is, have you tried to resolve this yourself? You did not try that first, because it could be something you could resolve and it's done. It
This
could
is
be a
why I like group chats. This is to me, this is
yeah,
why group chats are, because somebody's going to say restart. And it doesn't
of
have to be the
course,
supervisor.
absolutely.
So somebody's going to say, "Did you try restarting?" And that I'm actually, you would probably hate working with you, yeah, and you know we haven't worked directly, but we've worked on the same projects. But I actually
Yeah.
forget to restart my computer when I'm having trouble. So that's the first thing that people usually say to me, "Did you restart?" And I'll say, "Oh no."
And that's why you need a class, like a
But that's
production.
exactly it. That's exactly it. That's why you need a
Yeah,
group chat and a class,
yeah,
to be reminded.
yeah.
To be
And then
reminded of
you'll
many helping hands.
absolutely, and then you'll kind of get in the habit of like doing your like, like 1, 2, 3, 4 steps before you know, okay, now there's a problem. Now I have to ask somebody who actually knows. But when it comes to actually like the creative side of things, and you were saying like how long, and let's say this is a story, um, if it's a matter of information, it should be immediate. It's like, I don't have this answer and it's not mine to decide. And that's another thing that's really good to, if you do this program, is you will learn what is your decision and what is not,
Mm-hmm.
depending on what department you're in. So
Mm-hmm.
if you have a supervisor in story who provided you certain parameters, certain assumptions, certain guidelines of what you're supposed to perform or produce, and you decide to go, I don't know, a little rogue, it's not going to sit quite right if you have a good supervisor, mentor, instructor, because they're going to tell you in a studio environment, that's not the job. It's
Yeah.
not your job. Your job is to apply what was provided to you within a timely manner, within a certain approach, within a certain skill. And that is really important in a production. That is a benchmark. So when you take an independent course, um, I don't know what the requirements or the benchmarks for the independent courses are, but no one's going to say no to you if you do what you want.
Yeah.
In this pipeline, it's not about that.
Yeah.
It's about learning really the reality of uh, being productive and also creative, because at the end of the day, we are still creative.
We're growing.
Yeah, like,
We're growing.
and we're growing, and you're always learning, and there's always ways you can um grow, of course. And that has to do also like with the people in your department, and you also get inspired by each other.
Yeah.
Different skills, different everything. But yeah,
You've said something that's really important, where you're growing together, but you're growing together because you're not necessarily like, there's something that happens when you're learning by yourself versus when you're with a group. Was as the group elevates you,
yes,
you will rise to everybody that's in the group. Whereas when you're working alone, you don't really have that gauge of where you're going with your progress. That is the one thing about self-directed classes, that I think is really hard. A self-directed class without a community, or without that direct contact. Like we we've really learned in our careers that the earlier you can correct mistakes, I think the farther you can go, the farther and faster you can go, in reality. And that I say that's the hardest part about learning by yourself and working by yourself. It kind of continues. It doesn't end. But it's all manageable once you know that rhythm, and once you know how to check in with people, and solve your own problems. Then you're really a rocket ship, without any limits, and that's who studios want to hire.
that's, you said it really nice. Like, I couldn't
Yeah.
have said a bit better. Yeah, words are hard to say.
Inspired by your words, so we're ping ponging. Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. Let's see if we can cover anything else about the program
Yes.
specifically
Are there any other questions from the audience?
from our
This is
awesome
awesome.
audience. Let us know. Let's
Mabel
see.
is 100% revolting right now. She's sorry. She's totally under my feet, under the desk. And she does not want to go outside, eh? You don't want to go
He's
outside?
pushing the
She
limits
she
um completely. All right, let's see then. Mm. We talked about if we need a work experience. We You don't, right? No work
No
experience.
work experience. You're gonna get work experience, work in quotation marks experience with us. Okay, you're okay, Bibs. You're you're
There
okay.
is a thing though. If you want to participate in the program and you don't have, you're self-taught. Sorry, you don't have formal training and you are self-taught. It is recommended you email for more information or for like almost like an assessment. Um, doesn't hurt. So if that might be you, you could still. I know I told Lindsay this. I'm like, if this would because if this would be me and I didn't have any formal training, I just dive in and she was saying, I don't know if you want to hold on. Maybe you want to email
No,
first.
yeah, you can. I mean, I there. Oh, it's so hard. Self-trained students can be so talented. So there's going to be a screening process again. Like we don't teach the fundamentals. So, and you can learn the fundamentals online. You can learn the fundamentals in school. The schools will give you community and the network of to your local network. Like you want those things, especially getting into a career like this career revolves around people and networking. So the more you can be around others and learning in these learning environments, the better. But that being said, like I said, there's some impeccable self-taught students. Um, and just send us an email and we'll go through your portfolio, your demo reel. We'll take a look because if you can display that you know the fundamentals and that you're not going to struggle with this evolution of knowledge, because I think going from zero to our program would be really difficult for people. It has been designed for people with not work experience, but for animation knowledge or art
Mhm.
knowledge. Um, yeah. But self-taught students, they doesn't mean that they can't hit that mark. They just
Yeah.
they hit it in their own time. And okay, Mabel, I'd like to sit closer to the computer again, please. It's raining. I don't know if it's still raining, but it doesn't look like it's as bad as it was. But
I don't know.
she
It's,
went outside right before. Now she's laying down. What the heck, Mabel? You are not under attack, babes. Oh
all
my.
right. Mabel, you are going to be on in
she's
every
just
video for Eat Your
she's
Peas.
just a she's just a tiny. I'll post it on. I'm not gonna. I'll post it after this on Instagram.
Tiny dogs full of energy or distractions. I don't know what I'm saying. Okay. Where do
Very
we
good.
email for additional consultant advice, especially if you're on the fence? Yes. I will copy paste it. Or do you want to copy paste it in the chat?
I don't have Ayla. Can you copy and paste it in the chat?
No,
It's
I can do it. It's right here. It's
accounts.
accounts
It's
at
accounts at
eatyourpeas.ca.
eatyourpeas.ca. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
that
it.
that'll get you to me, Sanik. I'll answer that. I'll answer your questions
Yeah.
for
And
you.
yeah,
I'm
and the
happy. I'm happy to have a chat with you. Absolutely.
that's yeah. And we have the discount code there for those interested. The discount code is 500 P's. And the link for two installment program if you want to pay in two installments. But yeah, please email away and your questions will be answered. Also, the Discord community. I think I've mentioned it before, but I'll mention it again. If you go on the website, which is eatyourpeace.ca, and you scroll all the way down, the Discord community is really easy to get to, and then you'll always be updated when there's more stuff happening. Um, this way, you don't have to chase around like YouTube and Instagram for updates. Thank you so much. Yeah, you're very welcome. Um, Okay, let's see what else. There are some reviews from people who have taken the course. It's on the website as well. You're welcome to check it out.
I'm so
Uh,
proud of our reviews because we
yeah,
keep hearing over and over again that we're a supportive group, and I think
and
that's
that's
what you
so
want.
good.
Yeah.
So good. It is so very good. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Mabel, for the
Yeah.
distraction
Scooching away.
and that extra
That
snack.
was. I'm sorry. That was really funny. I think that lasted for. I'm pretty sure people watching could see that happening in the background, but I think there was like 10 minutes of my sister trying to get Mabel to to go
That's good.
outside to
That's good.
come out here.
And Yeah, and I love your poster. Do you want to talk a little bit about the piece, like who designed
Yeah.
the
Oh,
piece?
yeah. Okay.
Like,
Yeah. So, as I mentioned earlier, our
yeah.
first episode revolves around the pilot program that we did. Um, and our third episode actually revolves around this image. So, this image, which I love, a stack of peas, this little leaning tower of Pisa. Um, we've actually tied this into one of our episodes. So again, as I mentioned earlier, we this is not the comp and effects heavy episode, but this is similar to the first one. Um, and we're building a world around the peas. So our background artists are actually the people that are kind of conceptualizing this world for the first time, and laying the groundwork for the scenes that we have. And these peas right here were the inspiration to our third episode, where the peas are working together and trying to grab an apple at the top of a tree. Let's call it the most perfect apple they've ever seen, in an orchard.
Orchard.
And so this stack of peas here, is what we're really trying to do, is create an environment where they're all reaching for the tool that they have, like whatever unique tool that they've brought on their walk, to grab the apple. But they can't do it alone; they have to do it together. So
Aw.
yeah,
And
they're the
then
teamwork.
somebody just gets kicked out and everything falls apart.
Wait, no, that's not how these cartoons are written. You know that. this
But
is
that's the reality.
this
I'm
is a
just kidding.
family show. This is a fake
You
this is a
don't
fake family show.
you don't get a happy ending. Okay, no, I'm just kidding.
The humor of our show is really great. Actually, we've been talking a lot about the mood board. Um, and
Oh yeah.
again, like, I'm not talking about the comp and effects, because I think once we start talking about the comp and effects stuff, the show kind of, I don't want to say it gives itself away, but I will say that we are referencing. I'm making a lot of Shrek jokes. Shrek has been a big
Yeah.
influence in this show, um, along with Clyde with a Chance of Meatballs, but that's
Well, yeah.
because we worked on that show. And then Sesame Street, like, there's something really clean and neat about Sesame Street, which I don't know how to explain that, but like formatting wise and like education wise, yeah, Sesame Street has been coming to mind a little bit, but that might not be the humor, per se. Shrek, I would say, is our goal.
Shrek is it's a really nice reference. Yeah, that family benchmark and the jokes.
Yeah,
Plus, they get a little like naughty a little bit, I guess.
slightly spicy, but not quite.
That's
Slightly
spicy. That's the
spicy,
word.
but not quite too hot to handle. Yeah.
I love that. Too hot to handle stamp.
No,
Disclaimer.
slightly spicy. Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
We'll teach more about rating. I think that the storyboarding department's going to learn more about ratings, than anybody, to make sure that those jokes don't go overboard.
That's true.
Yeah.
Let's see. You know what? This is a good one. So you have one where it's what can I expect from the P Studio? And there's one here that's really good, and that's like learning healthy habits in creative fields. Habits is such a strong, important word.
Yeah. I love
Like
it.
when you have, yeah, you have your schedule, which is like 9 to 6. Nope, you cannot wake up and join whenever you want. You have to join,
Well, you
right?
can, but you're gonna feel it.
Yeah, you're gonna feel it, right? So having a good
We're
habit.
trying to set your future up. Don't do what we used to do. Uh,
Hey, I was never one of those people.
I
Okay.
was. Yeah, I was.
Oh, that's okay. I learned that it's just everyone's different. Everybody works different, and when I supervise people,
Yeah.
I really learned how important it is to understand that everybody works different.
The hardest part, I think, is to work on that communal clock, to get a bunch of neurodivergents together to work on that
Yeah,
convenient clock. But it's there. It's possible. We've
it
been
is.
at it for years. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think when supervising, I really understood that knowing my team and like getting to know my team is really important.
Mm-hmm.
And so everybody has different forms of communication that they work best with. And so when I had teams that I supervised, I really learned um, how I could get everybody together in a way that was engaging
Mm-hmm.
for not too long and also informative. And I knew exactly how I need to follow up with each person in the way that works for them. So they're efficient and also they feel supported. And those are really important things that also from the artist side, your habits that you still need to deliver, you still need to ask questions. And my favorite thing is like you need to know what to ask. You know,
Yeah.
when we need to know to ask the right questions.
Yeah.
That's a great thing to learn in this kind of environment. Yeah. And
You need to learn the rules before you can break them. That in reality, that's just it. Like you really need to understand a system before you can work around that system.
mhm,
And I think that's the thing. You'll find that every studio has their own system, their unique systems, and then hopefully we're building something that becomes a main system for a lot of people. Which is this is like that's again that's one of our larger goals, is to be
mhm,
that independent pipeline technology support. Uh,
yes.
but I think that in our program, the first month would be really hard to show up late, but the third month you might have a little bit more flexibility. But we might set it up so that you feel bad that you missed out on some opportunities, and that's exactly why that drawing warm up is there. You know,
Yeah.
because if you are not there on time, you're going to miss out on the opportunities to connect with fellow artists, and I mean that's what it's about. That like to me that's what everything is about, like meeting other creatives in the same industry, in the same niche. It doesn't have to be the same department, but in the same industry, and just connecting with people and hearing what they did on the weekends, and all that kind of craziness that people in animation tend to get themselves into.
Yeah, I mean, it's for my teams, we used to share references or films we're watching that
Mm-hmm.
or artists we're following because
Mm-hmm.
it inspires us, or just non-creative events like music we that we recently discovered. Each one of us, everyone has something different that inspires them, and when you share it with each other, it actually like it opens you up to more stuff that you might find yeah, like creatively like reviving. Because you tend to, when you're doing something for a long time, you tend to get kind of like, you sometimes don't have a lot of time to look for new things, and then your fellow teammates will be like, oh, check that out, you know, and it could really help you in your maybe personal projects in the future. And the other thing is like personal projects or personal like drawing habits. It's another really important thing you learn also within being in a team environment, that everyone kind of has something they're working on, and it helps you to stay creative. And that's also important, to stay creative, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
long term when you're in a production. And
Mm-hmm.
it's you gotta learn to find something fulfilling about each project. And then outside of that, you work on your own stuff, and you kind of know the balance. Good habits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you learn that those things change. Here's a question, Sonia. You are such a fierce, a force, and like I know we met in person at the Ottawa Animation Festival, um, this year,
Yeah, yeah,
and I know I told you
fun.
that right away because I was like, wow, you're like another. It's like it's so nice to meet somebody else that was at my energy levels and like
Just
passion
say
in
it
life.
crazy,
Yeah, I want to
crazy.
stay crazy forever. I want to stay crazy creative forever. But do you find that that has wavered in your life, like that it's come and gone? Because like we've been doing this for a long time, so I think to that it's fair to say that it's really hard to keep that level of intensity and that drive for a solid 12-year career, 15-year career. Has that ebbed and flown for you? Because it has for me. Um, and I think it
Yeah,
may have crashed before the pandemic in a way, and then the pandemic kind of was like, because everything changed. I was like, oh, this whole system is now totally different, and I was more drawn to understanding what the new work from home guidelines were, or not guidelines, but like work from home environments
Condition.
were going to be. And that's kind of what sparked my next level of like passion.
Hmm.
But I don't know if everybody has that.
And yeah, I'll speak to that. So the way I feel about being in this industry, oh, did my music just end? Might
Did we
have.
hit the Did we hit the end?
I don't know. That's okay. Something is crashing. Uh-oh. Something just crashed.
Just went dark.
I'm still here though. It did go
You're
dark.
still
I'm
here.
here though.
You're here for now.
Yeah. Something doesn't, it might be my computer. I don't know what's happening. While I'm still here, um, essentially, I'll speak to that a little bit. So, if something, if I shut down, then I'll be back. So being in here in this since 2013 and seeing everything kind of go through so many different transitions, I guess. Uh, one thing for me is I look at it as a marathon, um, not a sorry, what's the thing? It's a marathon, yeah. So you're jogging,
Mhm.
and sometimes you're gonna have to sprint, and sometimes you're gonna have to slow down. But you need to learn to pace yourself
Mhm.
if you want to keep staying and doing this.
Mhm.
Um, and that is a combination of, I hate the word balance. I think it's just finding a comfort level
Mhm.
at different when you're in different seasons, because life is kind of up and down, like it's full of roller coasters, and you just have to uh, find the way that is sustainable for you to still feel somewhat fulfilled. And I think when you are fulfilled, the drive stays.
Yeah.
So I think when I was everybody experiences burnout. So when I had a burnout, I felt the exhaustion, but I mentally was still so driven to keep going. And then there was a period of my time where I had more free time and I wasn't burnt out, but I was so much less driven because of the fulfillment of like, what am I doing? You know, what I'm doing, is it fulfilling, or can I fulfill myself somehow, in a different way?
Mhm.
Um, and I think over time, what's important for you is to just find fulfillment in every project you work. Find that um, balance of sustainability where sometimes you sprint, sometimes you slow down, and
Mhm.
you take a little step back, and you don't always have to be hard on yourself or push
Mhm.
yourself all the time. You just need to know what's important for the time being, because
Mhm.
you're not here to leave. You want to stay, right? You like being here. Um, and so I think, and I'll speak a little bit about my personal life. I have two kids, 7 and 10. I yeah, I became a mom when I was still my working my first job. Back then it was 9 story. And I had my first kid at 26, which is like really early compared to other people. And so like
Maybe.
I had to, yeah, like I had to find that balance. I had to find that sort of like balance really fast, to because I knew if I wasn't going to find a way to be fulfilled, like between having a job and then doing everything else outside of the job, it can get really depressing and exhausting. And
Mhm.
so um, over time, you just have to find the little wins. And if you don't feel like you're fulfilled and you're doing something for work because it pays you, then you do something outside of work to get fulfilled, which is where my short film comes in. So um, I don't recommend anybody to have a full time job, a family, and take on another project. However, it is what I did. But it is what I did
Mhm.
because I could not be employed. So, but I wanted to be fulfilled, and this is where the crazy comes in, I guess. But there are programs out there that essentially you just apply. You don't have to pay anything. If you wanted to, like your professional level already, like intermediate, and more, where there's programs with opportunities for you to grow. So that's like a whole other level. But when it comes to, and that's over time. So over time, you find different opportunities to continue
Yeah.
to
And depending where
feel
you
happy.
are, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yes, to just feel happy. And in terms of endurance, like working in our industry, and it is a production driven industry, and there is turnarounds and there are deadlines, and you just have to learn the pacing of each show, and you just have to find those moments where you need to slow down and take care of yourself. And self-care is very important on a daily basis. And we're not talking about like taking a big vacation. We're talking about like day-to-day habits.
I don't know if people were talking about self care when I entered the industry. I don't think that that was a topic.
I feel like the people who are have been in the industry who were seniors did talk about it to me, but very rarely and very carefully in a sense of like they don't know what that looks like for me, so they don't want to give me the wrong advice. But they did mention uh, find things you need to do for yourself
Yeah.
so you are healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Our favorite word, healthy. um, so you're getting sleep. So you are eating, eating fairly, not like, the
Yeah.
things that are easy, like the drive-throughs and all the
Hey,
time.
it's so easy for artists. I mean, this is a totally different topic, and I don't want to necessarily go. I wanted to say, like, I think you hit the nail on the head again. And I don't think people really talk about the downshift. Like, when you are taking high profile jobs, like, continuously, when you're like, oh, I want to work on this, I want to work on this, I want to work on this, and you raise that bar every time, but you're not really giving yourself the time to rest. Sometimes it's very nice to take an easy job where the project might not be known, the
Hmm.
deadlines might be a little bit more lax, or maybe there's just not as
Hmm.
many notes coming from the client. Um, it doesn't. It sounds like a. It doesn't. It just. It sounds like it's not exciting,
Yes,
but in a way, that's like sometimes the healthiest thing that you can do, so that you can just recover your
yes,
stress levels and your baseline. And the thing is, you won't notice your stress levels rising,
yeah,
because that is always your base level and that's always your normal. And that's a whole new skill that you start to develop in yourself to recognize that. And downshifting is so important. I think, Sonia, you and I are similar. Like, we are the type of person that full foot on the gas. We just want
yes,
to go as hard, as fast as possible and plow through the work, but that comes at a cost on the long run. And like you said, I love the mentor or the marathon um, analogy that you used. Like, you're either running or you're sprinting or you're jogging, and you really
yes,
have to monitor those kinds of paces so that you have a lengthy career.
yes,
100%. That's
absolutely.
that's
I've
what I
met
thought on day
people.
one.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I've met like when I just started my first job. I remember people around me who were much more longer in the industry. And they've always said that first of all we're making cartoons. This is fun. You know, we're not working in a hospital, and no one's going to die if we don't get things done. But at the end of the day, we're making cartoons. I mean, like you need to find a way to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was something that really helped me throughout the years when I took things very seriously. And I always remember that. I was like, we're making cartoons. Take a breath. you know, the people at the hospital doing surgeries, man, I don't want to be them. That's actually stressful. Um, we and be good to each other. I think good habits also have to do with how you treat people around you.
Yeah.
And through the years, as productions kept changing, you work different projects. What really stayed with me is the fact that I knew that what's beautiful about our community is we are all very collaborative and we all very helpful to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And so that helps you also keep going because it is uh, supportive and motivating and inspiring. You always meet good people, um, and if you want to be on certain projects, there's always going to be uh, good people who will, in a way, support and maybe even help you in
Mm-hmm.
small bits and pieces. And appreciating it also, like being grateful for it, is also something that helps you move forward when things are times are tough, I find. And there's always something you can learn from someone. That's the other thing. I never, it doesn't matter who it is. It could be, you could be supervising a team and you can always learn something from someone.
Mm-hmm.
And I think having an open mind where you can always learn and grow, that's probably the other thing that keeps me, um, you know, still wanting to continue and move forward.
It's funny how those things like come and go, or their cycle, or you might not see it in yourself in this moment, but somebody will see it in you. And I can speak to, like, you're saying this, and I just had this flashback of a coordinator that I used to work with. Um, I remember her. I was working in the animation industry. I hadn't quit. I hadn't worked at Toon Boom yet, and obviously hadn't started Eat Your Peas. But she said to me, she's like, "You're gonna run a school one day," and I just thought that was so crazy. And I remember looking at her and just being like, "No, that's way too much responsibility. I don't think that that would be a thing." And now look here.
And here you
Here
are.
I am. And I literally forgot about that moment until right now. So, yeah,
Wow.
thanks, Kira. She
You
manifested
are
that for us.
you are where you need to be.
Mm-hmm.
Are where you need to be. And things always change and fluctuate. And I do think that there's always opportunity. You just have to find and be willing and uh, be open
Mm-hmm.
to learning and to networking, because it is important to put yourself out there. And I think when it comes to habits and skills, one thing you'll learn for sure sooner or later, that you need to speak for yourself. Like you need to like say, hey, I exist. Like here's my
Yeah.
portfolio. You have to put yourself out there and you have to reach out to people and have some soft skills in the sense of introducing yourself and just bringing your like kind of like explaining what it is you're looking for and also asking for what works for the other person. And of course, looking for opportunities that align with your style or your portfolio, right? So these are all things that you can learn from uh, your group and your instructor so much faster. Like every time I go to an event or a
Great.
film festival,
Great.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Or a conference, I feel like I've learned a year's worth of information by listening to all these people or speaking to all these people. And I'm like, I feel like I've just grown by having conversations and learning from what people are doing. And that's where the community comes in, and that's what's really important about being within a remote community, especially. I mean, everything is so remote now. Um, yeah, I kind of went to a different
I know, but it was wonderful. Yeah, like it's just, well, I think the best part about it is we're all, in the animation industry, I think if you talk to anybody, we're all saying the same thing, no matter where you are in the world, you know. Like the teamwork element. I don't know. I know that there are some famous people out there that are making cartoons by themselves, but I just wonder, like, minus the piece that's involved, that comes from that. I'm assuming, and the stress. I mean, there's a lot of stress no matter which way you peel it. But yeah, the teamwork is makes it so much more fun and enjoyable, and but also challenging. But then it's like the challenges are what's fun. I look back at the shows that I think I struggled on the most, but those are the shows that I love the most. Like I look back and it's like I forget that I was struggling in that time. I was struggling with my peers. And I don't know if this is like Stockholm syndrome or whatnot, but or like some sort
time.
of form of Stockholm syndrome. But I was struggling with my peers, um, but also that's how we were forming friendships, you
Yeah.
know. And these are still some of my closest friends to this day. Ayla, in the chat. We worked on Cloudy with a Chance Meatballs together. That's how I don't think I'm trying to. I think that is how we met originally, and then we've stayed in contact this whole time. It's been like 8 years. It's been a
Yeah,
long time. Yeah.
yeah. I'm still friends with my friends from the first job I had. I mean, we're still hanging out. We incidentally live close to one another now. That's just crazy how that works
That's
out.
nice. Yeah.
But I've met, because here's the thing, like you meet people, let's say in a course like this, and then you move forward, and then somewhere a few years later, you may be doing different things, but everyone's going to be growing together. And then you never know how you're going to reconnect later on. And there's one thing, I guess we all say when we do a show wrap up, but it's sad. It's like my least favorite time, and I
When
gotta
you have to
cry.
wrap a show.
So you wrap a show, and
That's
you're like,
heartbreak. That's heartbreaking.
it's such
Yeah.
a heartbreak. But then we say, I hope probably our paths will cross again, and they really do. Your
Mhm.
paths really do cross again. Years down the line, like people I've met in different places I've worked at, then we end up all like at happy. I don't know if you heard that. My child just yelled. I'm really sorry. Whoa, whoa,
I
whoa,
can't hear
whoa.
it.
Good. He's yelling. I finished the book.
Okay.
Oh, I'm here, buddy bud. Thank you. This is the
You
book he
finished the
finished,
book? Oh,
everybody.
that's awesome. Oh, nice. The Wild Robot Protects. Is it like the Wild Robot? Oh, I.
Don't video bomb. My Mabel. That's my Mabel. Um, Wild Robots. Yes. And, Wild Robots. What a good film.
Mhm.
Man, that was a good film.
So
Yeah.
we are. I know we're coming to the end of our
Yeah.
2 hour Q&A. If there's any other questions from the chat, let us know. I see Ayla's got a yeah. That was the first time we met, and I basically blew up your schedule in my first week because I had the idea to rearrange the episode order in an effort to help workloads. I don't remember like at what point was it there was that before I Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs had a rough start, as a lot of shows do. But that one had a rough start. At what point? I don't remember when you joined the program, and like I feel like the episodes were being rearranged on a weekly basis. We had to cut out like 800 characters from the first episode because it was a parade in the
Wow.
in the town of what was the falls?
The
Not
town.
Sardine Falls. Yeah, the town of Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
The town.
But yeah, my schedule blew up a lot in that. So that's where I probably learned to go with the flow. Trust the
Yeah.
process.
Yes.
You
Trusting the
do the
process
best.
is a thing.
Yeah, it sure is. You do the
It
best job that you can, and you just have to believe that everybody else is doing the best job that they can, and that's how you create a show.
it really is, and that's a really nice
It really is.
sweet way to really wrap that up because it is really true. You kind of sit there and you're like, whoa, it just created itself. Like we each did our path here, yeah, parts, and yeah, oh, that's cool. Any more questions? My browser is like dead. I can't see anything, so it's all you
No,
and
no questions. Ayla is saying that we had a split episodes. One day you'll have to have Ayla talk about. I guess we could talk a little bit about what we're trying to do online. Why don't we segue into that before we wrap up? But as I mentioned earlier, we're trying to do more online community events and having more calls like this. And I've already pitched it to Ayla. Like we would love to like we're building this fake show, but we're treating it like it's real, so that people can learn from it and either start their own or work on an actual project. Because when we put stuff out, we credit our students because that's why we do things. That's why we make stuff. Maybe that's not why we make stuff. We're gonna make stuff whether we're credited or not, but it's always nice to be appreciated for the work that you've done. And one of the things that we pitched was and maybe Sonia, this is a great question for you too. So, if we were running through ideas for episodes for the P's, and we had Ayla with a calculator basically putting a dollar sign on all your ideas before we even started. This is something that
I love,
we're like, it's like peas and prod.
I love that. That is amazing. That's funny. That's
Yeah,
so good.
yeah.
I would do it.
Like this is these are the kinds of things that we're trying to think about in the background and get on board. And that I was like, that would be great because I think people they don't really know the cost of creativity. And I think once you start to break down, oh, you got four characters in this scene. Oh, you want to do this angle? That's going to be a new build. Let's show you exactly how much this scene that you could be boarding on the spot or just thumbnailing actually costs. So it'll be really
I love
fun
it.
to play with those scenarios.
Yeah, we should just like, I mean, you could have a script breakdown with ALL like on call and like your sample script, and she could just be like, and there you are. That's
Yep.
what it's gonna be. Yeah. You have all these props. They're like, what is it, 30, 40, 50 props per script? And
Yeah,
then you
that
have like
costs a lot of money.
15, like a main lineup
40,
of characters.
50 props?
Yeah,
That sounds
it's
like that sounds like 4 weeks of work for one person.
yeah, that's an average 20-minute show. It has an average
Yep.
of like 30, 40
Yep.
props.
Mhm.
Not even joking, yeah. And then for shots, you have like I think at least 200 to 250 shots. No, that's
Yeah,
a
that
sorry.
sounds about right. Yeah, 250.
That's a 10 minutes. That's like a 10
Yeah,
minute, like two shots. So that
11
you do
minutes.
yeah, 11 minutes, and then you do like a
And
20.
then
That's
do
like
two.
double that.
Yeah, A
Yeah.
and B.
So nice. And then yeah, your main cast, and then your additional whatever incidentals, and you're like at 10 to 20 characters per episode, sometimes 15, whatever.
Mhm.
And then you're like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do it. Let's show people.
Oh, that'd be so cool. I
Yeah.
look forward to that.
I would watch it.
So
Yeah. We're
I'll
trying
watch
to
it.
design stuff that we would like to watch. So I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah. I hope that I think you're gonna bring on more of the hopefully the other instructors to
Yep.
speak, right? So
Yep.
that'll be really cool. Um,
2026.
yeah,
Let keep an eye out.
yeah, fantastic.
Oh, I'm back.
As yeah, my browser is frozen. Don't know what
Oh,
happened, but can't scroll for anything.
yeah.
But
I don't know
pretty,
what happened with the, but we're still good, I think. So yeah,
could be just us and
I
nothing is
think it
being
was my
recorded
computer
or streamed.
that shut down for a minute, but it reconnected pretty quickly. But on that
We
note, we
don't.
should wrap up because
Yes, yes.
yeah.
So thanks for doing this. This was awesome.
Thank you for doing this, and
Had a
thank
lot
you
of
for
fun.
Ayla and everybody that showed up to chat with us today. Hope everybody's still there, having a good day. It's rainy over here, so that's why Mabel didn't want to go outside.
I see how it is. It's either me or good weather. Got it. Only here if the weather's bad. I see. I see.
Hmm.
I see.
Yeah,
I see
me
how it is.
too. All right. Well, on that note, have a great day, everybody, and stay tuned. Thank you so much. Reach out to me at accounts at eatyourpeas.ca or check out the website, which is at eatyourpeas.ca. And we hope that you're interested in peak performance and give us a shout. Yeah. Peace. Peace out.
Bye.
Bye.